Let's take ourselves to Scotland, should we? Because the Prime Minister is going to meet Nicola Sturgeon this evening. The two leaders will be talking about multiple topics, including the NHS and the economy. An announcement on 2 green free ports is also expected. Let's talk to Brian Monteith, who's a columnist at The Scotsman and a former MSP. Good to see you. I have to say, there's lots to talk about between Sturgeon and Sunak. You can't help but think she's going to bring up independence first and foremost.
Well, certainly that's the raison d'etre of Nicola Sturgeon, and she will look for any opening, any opportunity to talk about the need for a referendum and the belief that Scotland should be independent. Rishi Sunak, on the other hand, I think is trying to distance himself from Liz Truss, who said that Nicola Sturgeon was an attention seeker who was best ignored. So he's holding out the hope of there being more dialogue, more consensus, and showing that he's willing to work together. They both have their own agendas, and so it's mutually convenient for them to meet.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, there could be a lot of benefits with holding out that olive branch a little bit and trying to kiss and make up somewhat, because there are a lot of issues, and especially when it comes to things like the NHS and obviously striking teachers in Scotland and all the rest of it. There's a lot of issues which the Westminster government and the government in Holyrood have got in common, actually. They've got a lot of the same problems.
Well, they have similar problems, but of course the sole responsibility for pay and terms and conditions in teaching in the National Health Service is devolved, and the responsibility in Scotland for Nicola Sturgeon. And there's no getting away from the fact that she has also been sent sheds loads more money from Westminster, more money than the Scottish Parliament's ever had before. And this money is, in fact, not always spent on the NHS when it's because of the spending in England on the NHS that it's sent north. So Nicola Sturgeon has reason to be very careful about what she says. That said, although they will be putting on a front of being pleasant to each other, just next week there's a big decision coming up regarding the Gender Recognition Reform Bill, which was passed by the Scottish Parliament last week, and which Rishi Sunak and his Secretary of State for Scotland, Alistair Jack, needs to decide whether they are going to intervene and have a Section 35 order which will prevent it from being given royal assent. This is because that bill could intervene and affect the UK's Equality Act of 2010, and that would have repercussions across the whole UK.
That's an argument, isn't it, that presumably is the last thing that they want. I mean, a Section 35 on something like that would cause so many problems, actually, whatever your view on the topic.
Well, whatever one's view on the topic, you're quite right. It will mean that the UK government is intervening on a bill passed in the Scottish Parliament. But of course, this is actually what devolution allows for. It allows for the error, in a sense, of having a bill that then affects UK reserved bills. And it is thought by many that, in fact, one of the reasons Nicola Sturgeon was so keen before Christmas to get this through Parliament, when it's not really a top priority given the cost of living crisis and the strikes and everything else, that she should force this through because it would create a conflict and force Rishi Sunak and Alistair Jack to act, thus creating a new grievance, something else to confront Westminster with and to gain headlines and to get support from those that want independence.